Hello, I'm Monsignor Charles Minock.
And I'm Alice Vale. Welcome to this edition of Reel to Reel. Alcoholism is a disease that affects millions of people each year. We'll be taking a look at a treatment center in South Jersey that helps many people get a new start on life.
Also, we'll learn of some Laotian refugees who are keeping their cultural heritage alive through dance. Our short segments feature Father David Fleming on the importance of belonging, and we'll listen to some music from an Irish harp.
A recent survey by the Gallup organization reveals that 1 out of every 5 families in this country experiences trouble because of alcohol. That same survey also revealed that the use of alcohol has been increasing over the last 20 years. We have a story not about alcohol consumption, but about abuse and what happens and where some people turn for help. We're told it's glamorous and affluent, and in moderation, alcohol consumption can be enjoyable. But the billboards and other media don't even hint at what can go wrong. Far away from the crowds and temptations of cities in a rural area of South Jersey is Maryville, where we see the other side of alcohol use. The residents here, unlike the people depicted in liquor ads, are far from affluent. In fact, most are indigent, and many come here with stories of lost jobs, broken homes, and interrupted lives. And like the residents who leave with the hope of starting again, Maryville itself is changing. Now it's little more than a collection of bungalows on several acres, but the future will bring a new building with facilities for treating more people. The executive director is Jeannie Barber.
Maryville was founded in 1949. It was founded by a Roman Catholic priest from the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, and his name was Bennett Conway. Maryville started out as an informal retreat kind of setting for people to come here and stop drinking and regroup, and then when they felt they were ready, there was no given length of stay, go back into the world and attempt to live in a sober fashion. And what has happened over the years is Maryville has evolved into a structured 28-day program.
The clinical director is Dave Wolbert.
We have a program that's pretty much divided in half, 50-50. The first half of it is concerned with and involved with the Alcoholics Anonymous program. The other half is designed in a psychotherapeutic model. We use group psychotherapy and individual therapy and counseling. Our groups are designed to help these people to talk about, to a large degree, what their past life has been like, to discuss the problems that have been a part of the past, to express and re-experience to some degree the feelings that they felt in the course of their lives before they came here, and to hopefully evolve to the point of some resolution so that they can proceed to start again with a lot of these past problems and conflicts, at least to some degree, resolved.
My background was very normal, normal childhood, and I started getting into problems when I turned 14 or 15, and the big thing then was to be one of the group, to be accepted, and I threw away my identity, and the thing to do was to go out and party and drink, and my friends went on, but I got stuck with the problem of alcoholism.
I grew up the way most kids did. I got married very young when I was 17, and I was married for 2 years. I didn't have a problem then. When I left my husband, I moved into a commune, and I was around a lot of drugs. And I used alcohol to calm down the effects of drugs and to be able to talk to people because I was always very sheltered. And I drank every day for 8 years because it was the only way I knew how to communicate.
For 30 years I've been drinking. I had known no peace, and especially the last 15 years I drank alcoholically. And I've, like most alcoholics, lost everything I ever had or attained in that time. I got 10 years in the penitentiary just for drinking. But, of course, what I did was against the law. I did it without any sense of morality or ethics, nothing for society. It was a selfish thing I was doing, and I didn't give a damn for anything except me and my drinking.
Paul Brewmaker is a former resident who recently returned to Maryville to work as a counselor.
I came here through the Ancora Psychiatric Hospital. At the time, I didn't know there were such places as Maryville. I didn't know they existed.
We'll put some more down.
I didn't think that there was any hope for a person like myself. I didn't know about detoxes or anything like that.
Obviously, the other side
So
is...
I signed myself into a mental hospital because that's the point that my life had reached. It was just total insanity. As a recovering alcoholic myself, I can understand these people. I'm in touch with what they're feeling, with what they're going through. It's not always true, of course, that you have to be a recovering alcoholic to understand an alcoholic, but it helps me because I can understand where many of them have come from. I can understand many of their backgrounds who have gone through mental institutions, who are in severe states of depression, who feel utterly hopeless. I know that hopeless feeling because I've been there.
I don't want to drink again. I feel content. I feel confident. I have more going for me than winding up in Skid Row with a wine bottle and needing a bath, panhandling on the street. I'm too good for that. I know that now.
Maryville is certainly giving me another chance. They're allowing me to stay here until the baby's born. They've taught me that I'm not such a bad person. They've taught me how to release the things inside that we keep bottled up all the time that enable us to drink. They've helped me to be able to communicate with people as I am and to accept the person I am and not try to be something else, you know, something that I dream up in my head I should be.
Just coming up here, and I had to admit I was defeated, and it was a good feeling. It was a feeling of freedom, finally. I didn't have to fight it anymore. And up here to get taught a whole new way of life, and it's okay to be you, and people will accept you as you are. It is a new life, and it's a good life.
And it's a new life for Maryville. When the idea to construct a new building was first raised, the board members of Maryville didn't have to look far for help. So great is Maryville's reputation that offers of time and materials were made by a wide range of people and organizations, including more than a dozen craft unions in South Jersey. John Sullivan, a businessman, and John Riley, an attorney, are board members.
We are increasing that to a 60-bed facility. We will go from a annual budget of approximately $150,000 to $690,000 a year once this building and its related facilities go into operation.
All of the labor that's going into this building is a charity donated by these various craft unions for 1981 and 82. From that point on, we've gotten support from various county government officials. We've gotten architectural plans from an architect that are valued at $75,000 to $100,000. We've gotten the ground broken.
John Riley sums up the seemingly contagious enthusiasm that many people feel for Maryville.
You take all of these people and put them together, I think that they would themselves want to come out and carry the bricks to put this building together.
One disturbing fact that we learned while filming this story is that the average age of alcoholics entering treatment is getting lower and lower in the last few years. It seems that the new building at Maryville is opening none too soon.
To me, it's not only a pleasure, but a privilege to be able to sit down and play music on any instrument of any kind, but especially on my own harp, made especially for me. I enjoy playing by myself, and that alone is and would be enough. But to have my children gather around, and my husband gather around and enjoy the music that I'm making is a very special event for me.
I'm Jack Fleming. I'm the campus priest here at Fontbonne College in St. Louis. I was just thinking of an old friend of mine whom I've not seen for a couple of years in a small, remote fishing village on the west coast of Ireland. Her name was Margaret, as old and as rugged and as hardy as the landscape that she was a part of. Margaret one day was talking to me about how sick she felt and how old and frail she was feeling. And I asked her, Margaret, are you afraid to die? And she says, "Ah, no, Father, I'm too lonely to die." Most of us might have responded, "I'm too lonely to be happy, but not too lonely to die." And I think in saying that, Margaret was getting to something that most of us are afraid to deal with at times, and that is that we are afraid to die and even afraid to live because we are not really part of a community of people. We don't feel at one with others. We feel alienated, or isolated, lonely, even sometimes in our own families. We all struggle for community and intimacy in our lives. And we need perhaps to struggle even more with family, with friends, with our own children. We know too much about crowd and not nearly enough about community. We know too much about chaos and not about loving. The experience of Jesus, his invitation to join him in a family of mutual peace and harmony, I think is a valid experience for all of us. Our faith and our hope calls us to be community with him and with each other.
O God and Master of all things, enlighten and bring wisdom to the soul and heart and mind of thy servant Timothy, and direct these hands for the irreproachable and excellent depiction of the form of thy person.
Timothy Quinn paints icons. The word icon simply means image, but in the traditional religious sense, it's usually an image of Christ or of one of the saints. That special image is created from raw egg, vinegar, pigments, and gold. Tim is a member of the Byzantine Rite of the Catholic Church. Several years ago, he learned to create icons from a Byzantine priest. But creating icons is more than simply an artistic process.
The iconographer is supposed to fast for 3 days before painting and meditate on the image to be depicted. The icon itself is painted by the Holy Spirit. I don't paint the icons. I'm just another instrument. That's why no iconographer signs his work. It's not artwork in the traditional sense. We're an instrument of communication or presencing of the Holy Spirit, of the saints, of Christ. Yeah, you'll notice on icons that the features are elongated. Like the nose is elongated, the mouths are small, the eyes are large, generally. That's to show the emphasis of vision. The saint now sees God.
Creating these holy images is part of the rich heritage of the Byzantine Church. It's a process that's been passed down through the ages, the prayer, the fasting, the painting. And according to Timothy Quinn, the Holy Spirit who first inspired the process still sees it through to completion.
For most Christians, the stories and heritage of the Judeo-Christian heritage are preserved through the Bible. But for the Indo-Chinese culture, it is the dance rather than the written word that preserves their tie with the past.
For centuries, stories were told about great mythical figures who once inhabited the land known to us today as Southeast Asia. The stories are about a king and his great white monkey warrior fighting an evil giant in order to save the queen and preserve the order in the kingdom. These stories are as important to Southeast Asian culture and religion as the Bible is to Judeo-Christian culture. But unlike the Bible, these stories are not to be read as much as they are to be danced. This is the Royal Lao Classical Dance Troupe. The entire troupe, along with their 38 families, have been resettled in Nashville, Tennessee, through the efforts of the Immigration Relief Services of the U.S. Catholic Conference. Nashville, Tennessee, the capital of country western, is now hearing the music of the lanat. And instead of cowboy hats, they are now seeing the ancient masks of monkey warriors. A story is being told by these dancers, but one that is highly elaborate and symbolic. The dance assumes a common knowledge and experience. Therefore, the dance is difficult for someone within Western culture to comprehend. But to the Laotian people, each movement of the hands, the fingers, and the feet convey a special meaning. All the gestures are a heritage of the past and are referred to as classical dance. Every prescribed position has been faithfully passed on by each succeeding generation until now. The people entrusted to the preservation of the dances, the King's Royal Ballet, have been scattered around the world. Like other thousands upon thousands of people, they found themselves in faraway refugee camps, like this one in Bataan, the Philippines. Many had to leave all they had, but what they all brought with them was their love for the dance. The Laotian people gathered together to dance for all kinds of occasions, but classical dance was performed only by the royal ballet for the king, his servants, and special guests, never for the general public. In the late 70s, people who either had parents who performed in the royal ballet or were children who danced in it met in Thailand's Nong Khai refugee camp and decided they would try to reunite the ballet. One of those dancers was Ek Kyaw Kulawong, now director of the Royal Lao Classical Dance Troupe.
We tried to unite all the members and recruit people to teach the dance too. We wanted to stay together. It was difficult because we were so large. The group split up, some going to France and others to Iowa. The largest number of us, 38 families, 350 people in all, were left behind. It was in 1979 the USCC found enough sponsors for us in Nashville, Tennessee. A tragedy occurred shortly before we left for Nashville. Our camp burned down and all of our instruments and costumes were lost. Through the generosity of the city of Bangkok, we were able to buy new masks and costumes. We come here to America hoping we can perform the dance for many of our people who have never seen the dance before, and to give the gift of our culture to the American culture.
The sheer beauty of the dancers and their costumes is gift enough. Meet Purasamy Norton. She is a Lao classical dance instructor.
Dance, it's part of our culture. It means so many things: happiness, non-violence, and it's a way of life expressing through the dance. Nang Keo dance is very special because there's no other troupe dance Nang Keo except the Royal Ballet of Luang Prabang. The dancers feel like they had a duty to make the audience happy, and this means she's offering the bouquet of flower to the audience. It is very important for a child to learn how to dance because he's the one who will carry on the tradition of Lao dance, which we consider as a part of a good tradition, way of life, and also religion.
Ek Keo and his two trainers, Pajitapong and Bunkong Suriwong, take great care in perfecting all of the gestures. Not all of their dances are so rigidly prescribed. At practice, one is allowed to engage in a more freestyle, short dance. There is concern on the part of the parents that their children will no longer take an interest in the dance. There is no longer the familiar land that belongs to the stories. No longer do they have a king. And in America, the symbol for protection and bravery is the eagle, not the great white monkey. Their children may one day stand the chance of losing the meaning inherited in the traditional dance, losing a way of life, and losing a national identity, unless the present adult generation passes the stories on by dance, and they will as long as they can stay together. There is a special dance the troupe performs that is the hope for their future. The women dance with lit candles. If they stay together in harmony without letting one candle go out or drop, then good luck will come their way. Perfect, the Royal Lao Classical Dance Troupe.
The performance of a cultural dance is surely a visual delight, but it is also a means to appreciate the value of preserving a tradition and the importance of handing it on from generation to generation. Next week, we'll learn about some of the problems encountered by abused women when we visit the Mercy Hospice in Philadelphia and discover how the sisters and staff there help these women to rehabilitate themselves. We'll also profile Seattle Archbishop Raymond G. Hunthausen, an outspoken critic of the nuclear arms race. His leadership and Christian concern for this subject has brought an important emphasis on this world concern. Our short segments will feature a demonstration of the writings of Matthew.
We'd like to thank all of the people who have written to us and offered the support for the program. If you haven't written, please do. The address is Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, Philadelphia 19103. Thanks for being with us.
Have a good week. Goodbye, and God bless you.